Hello, hi, welcome to the Brockton Resident Forum. My name is Jamal Brathwaite, and I'll be your host. The purpose of the Brockton Resident Forum is to disseminate information that is an outcome of City Council meetings to the public, and to create a forum where the public can discuss it and provide feedback to their representatives that they feel are important for our community. With me on the line today, we have our members from our last meeting last Sunday. So I would like to do an intro for our new members who joined us today, starting with Bree Nichols. Could you introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bree Nichols. I'm also familiarly known as Coach Bree. I am the founder of Resilient Roses Respite, which is a nonprofit youth volunteer organization here in the community of Brockton, as well as I am a former candidate for council in Brockton and a resident of Ward 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. And with us on the line as well, we have a fellow resident of Ward 6, Wislyn. Could you introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wislyn. I live in Ward 6, and I'm also part of the Brockton Neighborhood Association.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, so we'll get into it. So today is Sunday, November 28, 2021. We just passed the week of Thanksgiving, and in the city of Brockton on Saturday, November 27th, there was a Christmas events parade activity hosted by City Hall, and that looked very eventful. On today, Sunday, November 28th, there's currently a recount taking place at Brockton City Hall that was initiated by a petition from a candidate running for City Council at large, and so ultimately that petition received over 100 signatures from the community, and so people are interested in a recount. It should be fascinating to see the outcome of the recount today, to find out if the numbers are exactly as the automated system produced, or if there's a deviation when there's a hand count, which is what's taking place today. Today we have a hand count. So, but for our agenda today, we'll be looking at this week's City Council meeting agendas, and as well as looking at what was the outcome of last week. So I'm going to begin by sharing my screen. So here we are. You can see we're in the month of November, and so today's November 28th, but I want to highlight that last Monday, November 22nd, there was a special City Council meeting to determine the tax rate classification allocations that will be paying for the total tax levy in Brockton. And that was a very eventful hearing that was attended by 6 residents of Brockton. That's 6 out of 105,000 residents in the city of Brockton. So it's wonderful to see that level of engagement. The outcome of that meeting was that the City Council did vote in favor of the tax rate shift of 175%. So we'll be seeing a reflection of a change in tax rates that reflect that in this new fiscal year 22. To add clarity, here we have the tax rate classification hearing packet that was available to the public. This was the item that was voted on, the residential factor rate. Currently, the tax levy is paid by residential property classes. Creates 84.99% of that tax levy is paid by them. So now that will shift to where it's only 73.73%. Residential property owners have less of a burden to pay the proportion of the tax levy. And to the average person, what that means is currently the residential tax rate, you can see here, you can see this historical tax rate table. And you can see that right now it's $14.50 per $1,000 of assessment value per property. And so that $14.50 will actually be reduced. Okay, it will reduce to $13.98. So we'll have a tax rate on residential properties that will change from $14.50 per $1,000 of assessment value to $13.98 per every $1,000 of assessment value on a residential property. So, and then with the commercial rate, you'll see that reduction so that the new rate will be $28.20, so $28.20 per $1,000 of assessment value on commercial properties. Another outcome of that meeting was that the topics here 2 and 3, so the residential exemption, this was not discussed during the city council meeting by the councilors, and as well as a small commercial exemption concept was not discussed at all. Even though we did make efforts to speak to it, I think the reason why is, I mean, there's really no rationale around it. I think the city councils were probably just not prepared enough. If the city councilors would have engaged more with the CFO and tax assessor in advance, they could have requested more information for points 2 and 3, so they could have spoken to it. But if you would have observed the city council meeting for November 22nd, the vast majority of city councilors did not say a word during the tax rate hearing. I want to highlight that. And it was only managed by the president of the city council and maybe 2 or 3 other city councilors spoke, but that was about it. So, but I'll pause. I want to get other people's feedback before we move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy that they didn't discuss those 2 issues further than what they did. I did watch the meeting, and it's disappointing because I feel like that could be something that could be a helpful tool, especially for those residents that we were speaking of, on the elderly people on fixed income, and to not even have it discussed, I feel was an injustice.
I second that, Liz. Anyone else want to provide input on their observation of this hearing from November 22nd?
Oh, most definitely. Please, just a minute. So to get in there and to see that our city council was not prepared, had obviously not read as much of the information as we had. Some of them weren't as prepared as we were. And to have it questioned at one point, if we were even asking a legitimate question, I found that frustrating. And for me, I'm grateful that one counselor did speak up. Wasn't mine, didn't ask my questions, but some of my questions were answered, but not all of them. And I don't think they could. I don't think that they were prepared. I don't think they reviewed this information. Not everyone definitely didn't review the information. That was very disturbing.
Yeah, I agree. Just being in the room there with you, Michelle, and everybody else, just got a sense of they were there just as a perfunctory measure. They weren't really there to do anything or to listen. I think was an indication, certainly on the president's part, that he didn't value any resident input, and they should. That's why we're here, to try to increase the potential for our input into these city council decisions and hearings. I was very disappointed in that.
Well, another observation that I want to share is that I wanted to share what existing abatement programs do exist. So, okay, so hopefully you can see this is actually the Brockton City Board of Assessors website. And on here, you'll see there's a section called exemptions. I just want to make sure everyone knows how to find this information. It's equally as important as what we're discussing. So the exemptions. Okay, so I'm going to click on learn more, and you can see a PDF document comes up. And in this PDF document, we have a list of about 6 exemption programs in the city of Brockton. All right. And I just kind of want to go through them briefly so you understand what we're looking at currently. So in this case, clause 41C form, that's one, this is one abatement program, and it targets people over the age of 65 plus. So to qualify, not only to be, I say you have to be 65 years old, primary resident in Massachusetts for 10 years and own property in the state for 5 years, and must have occupied the property as of July 1st. And then it's really this third section that really caught my attention. You must have a whole estate, the value of personal property excluding domicile, of less than $40,000 if single, and $55,000 if married. Fourthly, must have an income less than 20 grand if single and 30 grand if married. Now, when I observe this or read this, I say to myself, well, what percentage of the population in Brockton has a property value of $55,000 or less?
No, it's not the property. Doesn't it say excluding their domicile? So it's everything other than their house. So you can't, basically no retirement money for you, no other assets. So they want you basically, other than the house that you live in, it looks to me like they don't want you to have any more than $40,000 in assets, or 55 if you're single, and 55,000 if you're married. You know, okay, maybe somebody will say, well, what's the big deal with that? Number 4 is crazy, because how are you paying to stay in that house with that income? I'm just saying. So this whole, these qualifiers don't seem to be reasonable for a homeowner, or for some, you know, for some of the, maybe the average homeowners in Brockton. That doesn't feel like something that they want to be able to implement. That's what it feels like to me.
Agreed. So we're going to move forward and go down this. Just we can touch upon this more. I mean, we got another program right here that says this targets people age 65 years of age. It's tax deferral, clause 41A form. Must have gross income of less than $58,000 per year. So this one might be something that applies to people now. And upon approval, the taxpayer is entitled to an exemption of $750. We got a third program here for people age 70 plus called the clause 17B form. So this one, the criterion is if you're must have whole estate, the value of personal property of less than $48,000. Once again, I mean, I don't know if that threshold is high enough. Upon approval, taxpayers entitled to $193 exemption. Then we got one for veterans, clause 22 form. So must be a veteran or spouse of a veteran. 2, must have a service-connected disability of 10% or more. Have been awarded the Purple Heart.
Don't worry about that. As long as, because if you have a service-connected disability of 10% or more, stop there. You know,
Okay.
That's a lot of people will already have that if they have the rest. Some of the other things like 3, 4, you know, they'll already be there.
Yeah.
Number 6 is good. I don't know. It would be nice if people knew that. That would be good, because I don't know if parents of veterans, I don't know if they know this.
That's a good point. Yeah, so the parents of a veteran who lost his or her life in service are also entitled to apply for this exemption. Amount of the exemption varies according to a degree of disability. And then we got the scale. All right, and this next program for our targets people who are blind, clause 37A form. To qualify, a taxpayer must be a legal resident of the Commonwealth of Mass. Secondly, own and occupy the property at his or her domicile. Thirdly, and must annually provide a current blindness certification from the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind, certifying date of registration as at July 1st. And upon approval, the taxpayer is entitled to a $500 exemption. Okay. Hardship, clause 18, to qualify, a taxpayer must be aged. Assessors use some discretion there. Okay, must have a physical impairment, must have a financial hardship, property must be owner occupied. And what do assessors need? And then they go into the criterion. Okay, but this is important. So what can the assessors do? They can vote to abate a portion or all of the applicant's property taxes, must vote on it annually. Applications should be filed in the fall, but can be filed as late as 3 months after the mailing of the actual bill. So the third quarter. Okay, and does anyone have any questions or anything else they'd like to ask regarding this?
Does that seem clear? If you were a person who might fit the criteria here, this might feel a little daunting, some of it. I wish they could, I don't know, again, it's the clarity thing.
I agree with that. Can you scroll up? I wonder about too, no, go down, Jamal, about where it says that the must be age, assessors use some discretion there.
Yeah, what does that mean? I
What
hear
does
you.
that
Truth.
mean? Because so it's up to assessor whether, I don't know. I would hate to have someone deny these benefits just because the assessor didn't decide whether or not that person's age was appropriate. If I'm reading that correctly.
Oh no, that's the way I'm reading it. Must be aged, and they have it in, quotes. Why?
When we look at this language, I guess the question, when it comes to taxes, the question is, are they fair and equitable? And I think that just when you look at the language, this is an opportunity for improvement for in this case, our tax assessor's office, is to specify the language that to be more specific, and that way the public it just adds transparency to it.
It's obvious that it's inappropriate. Definitely could be viewed as discriminatory simply based on the fact that you get that the assessor gets to decide whose age. If you want a range, put a range, right? If you want to say there's exceptions in certain cases and then list what those exceptions are, that's fine. But number one, definitely should be changed. Yeah, and as a disabled person, they might say that I'm not old enough because I'm under 65. They could decide.
As far as I've seen in my lifetime, hardship knows no age. What if you're a 25-year-old homeowner that's gone through something that's affected you in your life and you need a little bit of help right now?
And you got to still take care of your kids. Like I would like to see something for folks where to qualify, maybe one of the income, give the income qualifier, but if you have kids in your home, right, and you have that income, they need a break too.
Right.
Like let's get rid of these garbage ones that obviously, that you're not going to be able to give to but maybe a few people. And let's do something where maybe you can give a little bit of help to some people. Well, one thing back to an earlier, Jamal, the one for seniors where you said something about a certain amount of money, you didn't know if it would be worthwhile. It would cover somebody's probably Medicare drug cost for over the, I forget what they call it. I call it dropping you in the hole when they don't really cover your medicine. So yeah, some of those things for seniors do make a difference, even if it's small to us.
Noted. Okay, so to come full circle with where we are, so we just went through the tax abatement programs that are available. So they call them clause exemptions, but the tax exemption programs that exist in the city of Brockton, we can see that there are areas for improvement. Back to the original agenda from Monday is, when will we discuss these exemption programs? It's not clear. And so if members of the public are interested in learning more about the tax exemption programs, and if you want to advocate for additional exemption programs because you feel that the system we have in place isn't sufficient, then you should reach out to your city councilor and ask them, when can we have a public hearing to discuss our tax exemption programs and to determine if they're fit for purpose or how they can be improved. Starting for tomorrow, we've got a finance meeting happening on November 29th. The finance meeting will take place from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the city council chambers. Here we've got the meeting agenda. Yeah, so we can see there's a total of 7 items scheduled for November 29th. First, we see the reappointment of a gentleman to the Brockton Community Access Board for a period of 3 years. The term it says ending in November 2024. So that's topic 1. Topic 2 is the reappointment of a member of the Board of Assessors to a term that will expire November 2024. And thirdly is the reappointment of the chair of the assessor to the board for a period till November 2024. So that's very timely, given we just had the tax hearing. So fourthly, we've got an order so we got invited Pat Hill that the common necessity and convenience of the inhabitants of the city of Brockton require the laying out and acceptance of Sheridan Street, extending from the end of 1944 layout northerly a distance of about 1,355 feet, more or less, to Kathleen Road. And for the purpose, it is necessary to take an easement for the highway purposes and layout as a public street or way of said city of Brockton. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Number 5, we got the city order. The city council of Brockton hereby authorizes the creation and operation of a municipal light plant, including a telecommunications system as allowed by the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 164, Section 36 and 47E. So this is fascinating. So we got our city solicitor and our CFO coming to speak to this, but the concept is called a municipal light plant. Does anyone know what a municipal light plant is?
Zero idea.
Okay, that's something I'll look up more further later on. And number 6 gets interesting. So ordered that the city of Brockton does hereby take in fee in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 79. Describe, let's see here, Chapter 79 and or other applicable law. He following described parcel land to wit, and so we're talking about 99 Warren Avenue. And so this looks like the deed transfer process. We have considered and estimated the damages sustained by all persons who have not waived damages in their several estates, and hereby determine and award the same as follows to be paid from the bond amounts previously authorized by the city council for purchase or taking of property for public safety and general municipal purposes. And so we got the amount of $2.4 million. So this order number 6 pertains to the acquisition of land. I believe this is what it pertains to. The acquisition of land for the purpose of building the public safety complex. The address here reads as 99 Warren Avenue in 0 Highland. I'll pause. Does anyone know anything otherwise, or is that what it is? Yes, Michelle.
I'm sorry, this is actually back to the municipal light plant. It's locally owned utilities. So that would be interesting to know exactly what that plan is in a little bit more detail. And it says that they have munis have a unique opportunity to lead on clean energy and sustainability. That would be something. If this is part of their plan, that would be good. It would be good to know.
All right, I'll move forward. And then we've got topic number 7, or in this case, order. It's an order that the following name sum be the same is hereby appropriated as the same as was submitted by the mayor. So we got an appropriation of $3.5 million. $2.2 million is sourced from the stabilization fund, and it's for the purpose of paying for police fiscal year 20 personal services other than overtime. So that's other than overtime, retroactive payment. We got another fiscal year 20 overtime retroactive payment. We got a fiscal year 21 personal services other than overtime retroactive payment. We got police fiscal year 2021 overtime retroactive payment. Then we got police fiscal year 22 personal services other than overtime, and then police fiscal year 22 overtime. And all that equates to $2.2 million. Then we've got monies coming from ARPA fund, which equates to $1.3 million. and that is to pay for police fiscal year 2020 personal services other than overtime retroactive payment, as well as police fiscal year 2021 personal services other than overtime retroactive payment. We got a police COVID-19 bonus for fiscal year 22 here for the purpose of funding the Brockton Police Patrolmen's Association contract. This appropriation provides funding for 3 years of a 3-year contract. Right. So yeah, order number 7 ultimately is about the appropriation of $3.5 million. So overall, that's the whole agenda. I'm going to pause because I really want to get people's input about the agenda. You know, it's only 7 items being discussed at the finance meeting tomorrow. I can stop sharing the screen as well, so we can just.
Yeah, I knew about the acquisition of the land, Jamal, for the safety building. That's not, I just don't remember. What do you remember about the them talking about having a utility, electrical, like a whole utility company?
No, this is the first I'm seeing this communication. Specifically, we're talking about item number 5 about the municipal light plant.
Yeah, it feels very slid in, like there's so many things they don't mention. And again, this is not, this also, will this ever come up for a public hearing? It's, you want to change our utilities. You want to create a city-owned utility, right? Well, what does that mean? What type? It mentioned what I read, that it can be green and sustainable. Is that the plan? You know, this is where I think that if you're going to do this, that residents should have some input.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I guess another topic for order number 5 about the municipal light plant, including a telecommunication systems, how much would that cost? What site location does this pertain to? What contractors will be sourced to, you know, what's the overall proposal? And I guess
what's the benefit? What's the benefit of that telecommunications? What will it benefit? Is that for just for the, is that for public safety? Is that for the residents as a whole? What is it? How are you doing it? Who will it benefit? Those would be my questions.
Okay, so at this point in time, what we're going to do is we're going to segue. We're going to continue the program. I'm going to share my screen because we have other items going on, other topics to discuss. So on Tuesday, November 30th, last day of November, we've got a Central Plymouth County Water District Commission meeting taking place. It's a 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And people can attend that via Zoom. We also have a school accounts review subcommittee meeting taking place from 5:30 to 6 p.m. And that can be watched on YouTube. We also have a school bid review subcommittee meeting taking place from 5:45 to 6:30 p.m. And that can be attended via Zoom. So. Also, so I'll pause. Does anyone have any questions? Is anyone following the Water District Commission? Just, you know, topics regarding water quality.
Got that. I did get that email. And yes, there seems to be, it gets to be, I will admit, there are so many things that we have to address. It does, but we're on the agenda for that meeting. And I'm looking at it 1 second. Let me just see, because it mentions us specifically. Brockton, update on information on Brockton water supply agreements and possible action. So we are on the agenda for Tuesday.
Okay, well, we look forward to that meeting, and I'm going to make it a point to put it in my calendar. So that look forward to the feedback. I know last time we had they had a meeting, I had questions regarding they're going to be doing testing of our water reservoir, and I had questions around what thresholds would be looked at to compare the results to determine our water quality. And recommendations moving forward. And they said that they did not have any predetermined thresholds. So it's something that we would expect to hear follow up from them on. So, okay, cool. So we're gonna go ahead and navigate to the next topic that's also important. We've got December coming up this week. Hallelujah. Here we are at the end of 2021. And on Wednesday, December 1st, we have an ordinance committee meeting. Let's find out what's on the agenda. That meeting is going to take place from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday. And it says here, the meeting of the Standing Committee of the Ordinance will be held on Wednesday, December 1st. And I see no agenda here. We got to get that agenda. Agendas are required to be provided to the public within 48 hours of the meeting. So in this case, this needs to be made available by Monday, November 29th, in order for this meeting to take place. So it's unfortunate we can't discuss what's on the agenda, but we can look at what happened at the last ordinance meeting, though, to kind of get and it's important. The last one just happened to take place this past week on Tuesday. Well, that's a short turnaround time. And let's see what they discussed. Okay. There was a total of 5 items. Topic number 1 was a public hearing scheduled. Ordinance amending Article 4, Sections 27-32 of C5 zone. It says, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Brockton is hereby amending by adding the following language to the list of principal permitted uses. Research and development office or laboratory, independent senior residential, assisted care senior residential, business incubator, agricultural greenhouse. Wow. Be it ordained, further ordained that the ordinance be amended to provide the following section for research and development or laboratory defined the analysis, testing, and development of products or services predominantly for scientific research operations in biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, communication and IT, electronics, computer hardware, and their substantial equivalents. The following standards apply. All right, well, so I'll pause right there, but this looks very fascinating. And I can see that to discuss this, it was led by Jeff Thompson and Rob May. So what are your thoughts about that?
What is there in Brockton to attract research and development here? What about Brockton says to folks like that, come build, come invest here. We have this to offer your employees. What do we have to offer? Because all of these things that come on these agendas that they talk about are lovely and would be wonderful if they came to fruition. But if you're not doing anything, or you have nothing to offer, if the city doesn't even look like a place somebody would want to come to, why are we doing this? Why do we having these discussions? Just my opinion.
Would anyone else like to chime in on the conversation?
Other than to agree with Michelle that it's nice to put this language as an ordinance, but I agree. I mean, what is going to make a technology firm around Route 128 decide to come into Brockton rather than somewhere else? I mean, we've got the bad reputation. I guess we have a real estate maybe in terms of empty buildings, but there's a lot of other places with empty buildings now in the time of COVID, as more and more offices are being shuttered or reduced in size. So I mean, it seems kind of pointless to me unless we get a real something to attract businesses here.
I would call language in a move like this baby steps. This isn't any kind of grandeur step to actually attract more businesses or any kind of research firms or industry like that I see. But it, to me, seems like a very small step where we need much bigger steps. So are they doing this to make it look like they're moving forward and trying to do things? It doesn't seem like a lot of effort where it's just changing some language.
Okay. Well, and I think it would probably be helpful so this was discussed at the ordinance meeting. I would expect that there would be a rollover of this for the next meeting. Hopefully there is, but even if there wasn't, there should be meeting minutes that people can review. I would pull it up now, but I've been struggling to get the meeting minutes. Matter of fact, let's find out the meeting minutes are available. Brockton.
I'm actually looking, Jamal, because you have the link to the you have the link in the email that you sent us.
Right. Yep. Okay. I do. Can everyone see my screen and how I'm navigating to source the meeting minutes? Can everyone see the page I'm on where it's titled Public Document Library?
Wow. Jamal, the last meeting minutes that come up for the ordinance committee is May 4th, 2021.
Get out of here. Oh,
The
man.
meeting and the minutes before that were 12/29/20. So during 2020, they sort of took minutes-ish, but in 2021, they only took them once, and that was May 4th. At least that's what I see when I look at the.
Right. So yeah, that's correct.
So you see the same thing.
Yeah. So does everyone see my screen right now? That's titled Public Document Library.
Yes.
I'll stop sharing my screen and reshare it. I share screen, share. Okay, great. So if you see my screen, this says Public Document Library. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, great. And so here we can see, all right, so ordinance. So this is, so when we go to the drop down, we can see all the sub-city meetings, and let's look up agendas. Just okay. And you can see for the ordinance meetings, we've got a meeting agendas published as early as for November 23rd. So the most current is November 23rd, 2021. You can see the upload date was November 5th. But when we go to the document categories for meeting minutes, we can see that the last time the City Council Ordinance Committee meeting minutes were uploaded was in May, and it was for May 4th, 2021. So there's currently a gap where information is not being provided by City Hall to the public as it pertains to this ordinance, these ordinance meetings. We're not getting the meeting minutes, so that could be. I'm happy to send an email to the city clerk tomorrow to let him know and see how quickly we can get this information uploaded, so the public, so we can monitor these things and learn more about our community and what's going on.
Yeah, I would say you should CC all of us as well as others to give it some weight in numbers.
Okay, sure, will do.
And maybe mention the fact that the meeting minutes should be better documented, because I noticed several times that after meetings that we have participated in, there seems to be crucial information missing from these meeting minutes, which would be beneficial instead of making people jump through hoops and research old video clips that they have to send out to remind people what they said in the meeting.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I want to highlight here is that you might at times, let me stop sharing my screen. At times you might hear a city councilor or a city council attorney say that, or even the clerk say, oh, well, we don't really need to write it down because, people can look it up on YouTube. Well, the distinction is that if it's not in writing, it's not that it didn't happen, but it's not official. When it's
not in writing, it doesn't exist. You can take down a video. YouTube can say we will shut down your channel. Right? That YouTube does not belong to Brockton. It's not part of Brockton. That's not even acceptable. Meeting minutes in writing, period.
Absolutely. So
period.
The public wants to see these minutes documented in writing, so we have a clear understanding of what the outcome of these meetings are. So Well, on that note, let's see here. I'm conscious of the time. I just want to touch upon some other topics real quick. I want to open up the forum now for any hot topics, new topics, things that are important in the community. I know it's getting colder out, and so I'm really concerned about does everyone have sufficient heat? And I'm going to pause because I think other people want to speak to this, and I want to hear about it.
Bree or Kivana, I don't know if you saw a post about seniors not having, it was the Nancy Speaks.
Yes, I
And-
responded to it this morning with 3 questions about, you know, what we should do going forward, because it is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I know that some of us are going to make some calls, you know, senior housing, City Hall. I don't even know who, as far as our city council, would be the best advocate to reach out to. I've seen people tag Shirley Azak. Is that her? I'm not sure if that's
So
her ward.
I tagged her, Mayor Sullivan, and David Texera because he works with BHA. My questions were, you know, who's responsible for controlling and checking on the thermostat? You know, has it been rectified? And if not, how quickly can it be done?
I have a phone call into David Texera. He's actually right now at the recount.
Okay.
But he did call me. He did call me from there to reply to my text, and I will be speaking to him later on today.
Okay.
So
And
he's very responsive.
who do we as residents, you know, work with to ensure something like this doesn't happen again? Because even if, you know, it could be a technical error where the building dropped too low or something, who knows? It could be a number of things that cause this to happen. But who's the checks and balance to go over there, ensuring on, you know, particularly cold days that the temperature on these thermostats are accurate to what is, you know, humane conditions?
Exactly. And that's not the, for me personally, I don't find the 68, I know 68 degrees is the law. Okay.
Anyone with chronic pain, lupus,
Hello.
you know,
Yes,
anyone
that's
who
not,
knows that
mhm.
that's not ideal for,
Not at
especially
all.
elderly individuals who may have joint pains or, you know, it's
And
just
you're
not
trying to
ideal.
bathe them, and then you want them to come out of a shower into 68 degrees. I mean, that will freeze somebody's joints up. That could cause a fall. Like, it's just wrong.
It is wrong. Instead of them reporting this just to the city, you know, Bree, I know that you're very involved in the community. Maybe have your number be available so that if something does go wrong like this, they can bring it to your attention so you can bring it to the public, because they report it to the city and it just goes, you know, within just the halls of City Hall. It's not getting out to the public to let the public be aware that there is an ongoing.
Well, Liz,
And I am,
go ahead, Bree.
so sorry, Jamal. So I'm absolutely open to that, Liz. Our direct nonprofit line is 781-786-8300. If anyone ever needs to call for assistance, call to report a problem, I'm happy to be that resource to, you know, either address it or delegate it to the appropriate parties. There are also other avenues like See-Click Fix, but that's not going to be a quick response. We do need to look to see if we're going to have people who are in constant contact with their ward counselors to ensure that the things that need to be done are being done. And then if there are things that we can help them with, we're able to help. Yes, I ran an election and Shirley Azak was the incumbent who I was running against. However, I'm still a resident of this particular ward and need to maintain open communication with the person who is going to be our best advocate. And it's unfortunate when I go on social media, I hear a lot of people saying, oh, well, this person's going to be crappy at this and that person's going to be crappy at that. At this point, those are the people who we have elected. So either we need to hold them accountable to the things that they are expected to do, or begin to work with them so that we're picking up the slack of the things that they're not. And we can complain all day about, well, that's what they were elected to do. And if we end up doing more of their job than they do, then we know what we need to look forward to in the next election. But in the meantime, we need to make sure that we don't have elderly who are in a freaking high rise at 64 degrees on a 43-degree day.
Right. Let's get the at-larges, because as unfortunate as it is, not all ward reps are responsive, even for things within their ward, they're just not.
Well, I know
and
Shirley
that's-
was over there at the high rises the other day doing some
Okay.
Thanksgiving stuff, but we only know what we can see that's posted for the most part.
Right.
So, at this point, who the direct contact, have like a committee of people who are vested within their ward who would be interested in joining this call and being a delegate to speak directly with their ward counselors so that we don't have to continue to have these sorts of issues persist.
Exactly. And just to reiterate, and also to bring it to light, because so many people out there just don't know, they're not aware. And this kind of treatment should not be tolerated, and it should frustrate everyone, and everyone should know about it.
Yeah, definitely not a
everybody's got
ward
a
issue.
Everybody's got a mother, everybody's got a grandmother, everybody's got a great aunt. Somebody's got somebody that's in those houses or have been in those houses. And it's our responsibility as the youth and as the, adults in this community to check on the seniors who have, done their time in this community and are the reasons we are where we are now. So we need to make sure that they're taken care of. And that's not just power outage. That's, cold days. That's making sure
Right.
medications are being administered appropriately. That's making sure staff is on point, really checking in on these places. I've worked at some of the top nursing homes in the state, and, those people are very well taken care of, but it's because their people hold, the facility accountable.
Good
Exactly.
point.
Absolutely. And so I'll make sure for tomorrow. So it sounds like we need to send communications out to, I'll make sure I send an email out to the Brockton. On top of all the other efforts we made, I'll send an email to the Brockton Housing Authority, CC in our elected officials so they're conscious and aware of this concern, this issue, and as well as everyone else on this call. And hopefully we see some progress move forward. And progress would be that heat comes to those who do not have it when they need it. We have ARPA money. Okay, so worst case,
Yeah.
I like to think that money is not going to be an issue when it comes to providing heat to the elderly,
Exactly.
and people who are the most vulnerable in our community for this month and this winter coming up. So.
One of
On
the
that
things
note, we're almost at the end of our program. I want to open up the forum. Are there any other new topics, hot topics, pressing topics we need to be concerned about and discussing here in the city of Brockton? Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for your attendance on the call today. This has been another session of the Brockton Resident Forum. For all our viewers at home, I'd like to welcome you to a future program that we host on Sundays from 11 to 12:15. Everyone is welcome to join. Please feel free to reach out to me directly at jamalbrathwaite.brockton@gmail.com. I'll be happy to send you a meeting invitation. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and may God bless Brockton. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.